Perfect. All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. So thanks again, everyone, for joining the Verkada demonstration on how we're a platform for campus security and smart building management. And so by way of introduction, my name is Lauren Spears. I'm on our partnerships team here in our Verkada London office, and I'm joined by Dimitri Sandhu, our head of solutions engineering for EMEA. And on the agenda for today, we'll do a quick introduction to Verkada, a little bit of background on our company, our approach to the physical security and smart building space, which is our hybrid cloud architecture, and how that is so different from how it's traditionally been done with on-prem NVR and server-based technology. A bulk of today will be the fun part, the live platform demo ran by Dimi. And then we'll also talk about how we'll be at the BET conference next week and talk a bit about our trial program. So as you have questions come up, be sure to post them within the Zoom Q&A section so that we can get to the questions at the end, and look forward to answering those questions once we get there. And of course, as a thank you and token of our appreciation for joining this webinar today, all attendees will receive our Verkada branded Yeti mug. And to receive that, what you'll note after the webinar is you'll receive an email to confirm whether you'd like to, one, pick up the Yeti from the booth, which is booth SF70 at the BET conference. And since there's a Costa there on site, there will be a Costa voucher included as well. Otherwise, if you aren't attending BET, you can also provide us with your shipping address and we can send you the Yeti through that method. Many of you may already be aware of the BET conference, the Education Technology Conference that's happening next week in London at the Excel London venue. So that's the 29th through the 31st of March. So we hope to see you there. And so I'll run through just a little bit of a background on Verkada, then I'll hand it over to Dimi in a minute or two. But if you're unfamiliar, we're the fastest growing physical security company in the world. Our global headquarters is San Mateo, California, but we have 15 offices worldwide, including our office here in London, in East Central London, right next to Old Street Station, so we can service our global customers. We've seen a lot of success working with UK government, schools, and NHS who trust us from both a physical and cybersecurity perspective. So here's a few examples of education groups, academies, multi-academy trusts, cities, county, and whatnot that we work with across the whole of the UK. And here's a bit more of a logo slide as well. So we're excited to showcase all of the different products, our ecosystem, our platform that is really, relevant and helpful for schools when it comes to improving campus security, student health, and smart building management. So a little bit about Verkada as a whole. We've been around since 2016. Today, we have over 1,500 employees worldwide. We're co-founded by a group of computer scientists rooted from Stanford and MIT, as well as Hans Robertson, who is the co-founder of Meraki, which of course is now Cisco Meraki. So we've got some really bright, intelligent founders here at Verkada that have done this before on a large global scale. And from our founding, our goal has always been to modernize enterprise physical security. So what we mean by that is taking away a lot of the on-prem infrastructure that has traditionally been required of CCTV, indoor intercom, access control, air quality sensors, and bringing that into our hybrid cloud managed platform, which we refer to as Verkada Command, which is what Dimi will be jumping into here in a bit, with the vision to protect people, assets, and privacy. And so with that, I'll go ahead and toss it over to Dimi, our technical expert.
Perfect. No, thank you. Thank you very much, Lauren, and thanks everyone for joining. It's a pleasure for the next 20 minutes to kind of run you through a demo, a kind of high-level demo of our solution. But before we go and do so, I wanted to spend a few slides to kind of re-emphasize what made us successful and what made us as a business grow so rapidly over the last few years. And that is this what we call a hybrid cloud approach. So most security systems that you might be familiar with do require you to obviously install on-premise servers, secure them, make sure that they're redundant, have a way to obviously work with it remotely as well, which post 2020 is something that a lot more people think about. for us, we thought of reinventing everything by having a cloud-first approach, right? So getting rid of anything except the camera, the access controller, the environmental sensor, right? You still need those devices, as obviously you still need something to, again, film the scene, but everything is done either on the device itself or in the cloud. And some of the advantages that you see here is, first of all, the scalability. The fact that, you can start small, you can have a camera, you can have a couple of sensors, you can have an access controller, and then further down the line, you can scale it, right? We've seen customers with big campuses and also customers with distributed environments that utilized Verkada to streamline their operations and also reduce their cost, right? The more sites you have, the more devices you have, obviously, the more people and resources you have to put available if you want the system to work properly. So I'm saying it's hybrid cloud because it's not purely a cloud-based solution. And this is mostly to counteract any negative impacts that the internet might have, right? So for those of you who might be wondering what happens to a Verkada device if the internet goes down, fear not. The cameras will still record. You still have the ability to view local footage. The access controller will still only allow people that are supposed to get in, and the sensors will still record what's happening, right? So we love the internet because it does give us that ease of use, that ease of management, that overall scalability. But at the same time, we are aware that we need to build those fail-safes in our products just to make sure that, again, if something goes wrong, the product will withstand. I know Lauren mentioned about Command. This is what this is our bread and butter, right? The Command as not just the interface that you use to manage any of these devices that you see here, but Command as the operating system of a modern building, right? And although we started with cameras, and this is what we're very well known for, we soon went into access control, alarms, guest management, mailroom, intercoms, and obviously environmental sensors as well. Now, this will change because obviously as a business, there are way more things in the building that we can automate and bring in within Command. Our mission is not complete, and obviously it's not going to be complete in a month or two. It's quite a big vision. But the idea, again, is no matter what you see in a building and what you interact in order to manage the facility, interact with your guests and your staff, secure everything you have, should be run, again, through that simple, intuitive platform that we call Command. Some of the reasons that people kind of gravitate towards Verkada, and I'm not going to list all of them, are some of the ease of management. So we look at things that usually impact operations, such as manually updating the firmware, and we automate it. So at no point you have to have a trade-off between either A, spending considerable time upgrading all your devices every couple of months when a firmware is available versus not doing anything, right, and be at risk. Do everything in a browser. So again, moving away from client VPNs, remote desktops, bespoke apps that only work on a certain Windows version, etc. Doesn't matter, right? You have a browser, you can work on your phone as easy as it will work on a laptop or on a tablet. And we pair that with 10-year warranty as well. So we as a manufacturer work to build both the hardware and the software, wrapping up a 24/7 support service where a Verkada engineer can help you out in a matter of minutes in case something happens, and also with a 10-year warranty as well. So we package this nicely to make sure that when you choose a Verkada solution, you have that clear understanding of how much a security solution will cost you for the next 3, 5, 7, or 10 years. Okay, so for the demo, I'm going to be quickly sharing my screen, and I'll show you how things look like. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. And obviously, if you see anything interesting here, by the way, we're going to mention this again, but we do have a free trial. So again, if anything kind of looks very, very interesting, just get in touch with us because we can give you a brand new device for trial for 30 days. So you can actually install it, run it, share it with the other people in your organization, and have a go and see if Verkada can actually help you achieve your goals. With this in mind, I already logged into our own organization. So we're lucky enough as a company to be able to demo the devices that actually secure our infrastructure worldwide, right? And you'll see here, again, re-emphasizing on the fact that there is no client VPN, there is no remote desktop, there's no bespoke app. This actually is just an application that I load personally through my Okta single sign-on. And it just makes it as easy to interact with as it would be if I, let's say, join a Zoom call or do my emails. Right? So all of a sudden, physical security is not something mystical that you need special keys and knowledge to work with, right? It's something that is as available as any of the other apps that you're using today to do your job. Once I'm in, again, I already logged in, two-factor authentication, don't want to really bore you with that. You'll see that I'm already presented with a number of cameras and a number of sites, right? So the way that you see sites is basically like a virtual bucket that you put your devices in to make sure that as you scale, you not only keep things clean, but also you can then assign permissions for different users based on sites and subsites, right? So think about somebody having access to everything, all the keys to the castle, versus a security guard or receptionist that only need to see on certain cameras and, let's say, live only at a particular time. You have that power and that flexibility to do so extremely easily. So from here, for example, I can click on London, so I can see the London cameras. You can actually see myself here as well. And I can so easily jump back into, for example, into our garage or into our HQ in California. Again, doesn't matter where I am. As you can see here, we even have this very nice Google Maps integration that kind of shows me on a high level where my sites are, what's the health of my sites. I have 4 cameras in this building. I have 67 cameras in this building. And then some of them are yellow. That means they're offline. I need to do something to remedy the fault, right? We're trying to make this as transparent as possible because through my countless customer meetings, I've seen that one of the trends is that people actually do not understand the health of their system, and they, something happens, an event happens, and then you kind of understand that, you don't know how to get to the footage, you don't know where the footage is missing, you have no idea, right? So we're trying to make it proactive, and we try to make sure that at no point you are in a situation in which the devices that obviously like you pay a considerable amount of money for, they are actually not available, right? Going into the platform, operating the system, at least from a camera perspective, is very, very intuitive, right? So you click on a camera that connects through the power of the cloud, my computer here, to the camera in San Mateo, right? So it's 7 a.m. Forget the rain. It does look like London today, but I can assure you that's usually much more sunnier and nicer over there in California. But as you see here, this is how I interact with my system, right? The camera stores on itself because, again, the storage is still on site, but is distributed amongst the cameras and has a very powerful processor, an umbrella chipset that actually allows it to analyze the data, right? So now if something happened, you can, go back in time and look at the footage and basically look through the history of the camera, again, stored on itself to limit the bandwidth use. But if you want to obviously make your life much easier, you can then create smart queries, right? So you can say, hey, actually somebody smashed the window, so I'm not really interested to see random people walking on the street. And I don't want to see garbage flying in the air or cats and dogs, etc. I just want to see people, right? So now I'm creating that query, and in the background, the cloud works together with the camera to make that happen, to make your life easier. And then just click on any particular piece of footage and you have now a historical view of what happened, right? You can overlay this with, again, multiple cameras. If you want like a synchronous playback to say, well, let's see what happened at the back door at the same time. And at any given point, if this is the footage that you want to save, you can just save it indefinitely as an archive, right? I didn't mention before that cameras do record on themselves, so there is obviously a limitation. We're trying to go away from the model in which we give you a gigabyte, terabyte number, and we ask you to figure out how you get to your preferred duration, retention period. And just basically you can buy a camera from us that has 30, 60, 90, all the way to 365 days. And buy a 30-day camera, it records no more, no less than 30 days, which for those of you legally inclined, I remind you that part of GDPR is not storing data for longer than needed, right? Obviously, with these incidents, as you store them in an archive, the archive does reside in the cloud. So it's, again, fully secure and fully redundant. And at any given point, you'll be able to go back, search, and very easily share it as well. So click on any archive. The footage on the camera is long gone because maybe the archive has been done a year ago. You can download it as an MP4 file. It's going to get timestamped. So again, fully eligible in a court of law. But if you want to make your life even more easier, you can press the share button here, right? So you'll ask, what's your phone number? What's your email address? I'll get Verkada to generate a link, right? Why is this better? Except maybe not mailing a USB stick and maybe it gets there, maybe it doesn't, maybe somebody else is playing the video. You have the accountability because, first of all, nobody can say you tampered with the footage, right? So that is a Verkada branded URL that comes from our servers. Secondly, in case you've done a mistake or somebody else that has these sort of access has done that mistake, you can easily revoke those links. You can click manage links, you can revoke the link, etc. Right? And just before you ask, anything that any admin does, whatever is that, sharing archives, turning on and off footage, etc., is available for you inside the admin tab, inside the audit log here, right? So each admin has its own account, has its own way of getting in. And this is very, very important because, again, at any given point, you'll be able to click and actually understand what people do with it, right? Not happy with what Ryan is doing. He has, he shouldn't have access to this. It's very, very easy for you to go and remedy stuff in the platform. So again, it's more towards the visibility that we give you in the platform and the use, and also the ease of use in itself as well. The camera can do much more stuff as much more advanced analytics that can actually happen on the camera in the cloud, depending on the features. But we do give you the ability to filter based on characteristics such as color clothing, car color. You can run certain faces through the system. So again, this, we call this face match because what we're doing is actually matching characteristics of the face. Again, the data does not leave the system. It's yours to keep. And this, you can use it for different things. COVID protocols, maybe you have somebody who's obviously like not welcome for a reason. You can even go all the way to upload their photo, and then the system will automatically alert you in case they are seen, right? So all you need to do is you need to jump inside the alerts. This is an inbox that collapses all the alerts across the entire Verkada devices. And you just create your own alert, being like, hey, you know what? This person of interest is known to be a known offender. I want next time myself and also the security person at that location to get an alert, right? So click my alerts, click add, go through a simple menu to define what devices, who should get the alert, and also when you want the alert to happen. And obviously, person of interest is just one of the many alerts that you can do, but especially on the camera, there are many more things, right? So think about cameras going down, tampering as well. So that's obviously quite important in case somebody's trying to read the camera off. Motion, crowd notification, and as we discussed, person of interest. If you're obviously in need of even more advanced analytics, we do give you the ability to further understand what's happening at a particular location using occupancy trends. Again, when I show you all of these are actually included with the same thing. So you buy a camera from us, you buy a generic license, and that license gives you access to everything, right? So there's no tiered anything, right? You can bring as many users, as many admins, and you can use all the functions that I'm about to show you now, right? No extra servers, no extra cost, right? So occupancy trends is one of the functions that we use to get an idea of, let's say, how many people come in and out of a location, especially if you're looking at optimizing, downsizing, getting a new building. It doesn't really matter, right? So the camera actually is helping you understand the actual flow of people in and out. And obviously you can, at any time, you can pair that with a heat map on the floor plan, right? Drop a floor plan inside here. The floor plan actually caters for most of the Verkada devices, including cameras and sensors and even intercoms, right? And it kind of gives you an idea of exactly what's happening, right? So you can go from motion detection, which in real time, the cameras will flicker in case they see somebody. You'll see here, oh, there's some flickering happening. Did I miss it? That was a car going across. To a historical view of the people heat map again. So looking at persons in the field of view, and how they are using it as well. And by the way, if you're actually ever interested, you can share this floor plan as easily as you would an archive, right? So think about an evacuation is going through, emergency services are on site, God forbid, but better be prepared. And you'll be able to actually share this with any first responder, just to double check that obviously the building, for example, has been evacuated. And this actually brings you the sensor. I mean, it's, it's in the same kind of floor plan. The floor plan is where we want to bring all the Verkada devices in a single, nice, intuitive view, right? The sensor, as the camera, is a simple device, PoE powered, that allows you to get measurements across multiple different things, right? We have 3 sensors, SV21, 23, and 25, which gives you incrementally more and more measurements depending on what you want to see. So I'm going to pick a SV25 just to give you a more idea, a bigger idea of what's happening. But as you can see here, one sensor, one cable drop, and you actually get all these measurements. And when people ask me what do you use the sensors for, obviously vaping is one of the big things. I mean, we're all like schools here, and we keep hearing about, vapes and their effects on children. And yes, definitely you can drop a couple of these sensors in the bathroom. You can pair a camera outside the bathroom, so when you get a vape alert, you actually know who's coming in and out of the bathroom at that particular time. That's a Verkada camera that is paired with this particular sensor. But you can go way and beyond that, right? So temperature and humidity for areas of perishable goods or for your comms room. You just spend so much money on the latest generation of switches and routers and firewalls, right? You want to make sure that, hey, you know what? The AC doesn't fail before your boxes get fried. Carbon dioxide, as people go back, is the space ventilated enough? Can you do something to improve the health? Carbon dioxide is well known to produce at least fatigue. We actually had a couple of case studies in schools with children being not able to learn because of poor ventilation, all the way to the spread of respiratory illnesses, which I'll not mention because I'm sure that everybody read the news in the last few years. We can track noise levels. Think about areas like bathrooms or changing rooms where obviously you can't put the camera due to privacy reasons, but now you can set yourself an alert, right? So you can simply create a parameter and tell, say, hey, you know what? I want this person to be notified in case there is a fight going on in the bathroom, right? We use that amongst a lot of like rental properties, which again, you can't really put on there. But if, I don't know, they are having a party, they're having a fight, they're having a barbecue, this is, you can actually see it from here as well, right? So you see things such as particulate matter. As somebody who lives in London, I'm keep reading news about obviously exhaust fumes and how they affect children. That's obviously very important. TVOC index, which can be used again to understand the quality of the products used to clean. Strangely, one of my customers is actually using this to track if the bathrooms are being cleaned, because every time the bathroom is cleaned, the TVOC spike goes up. So for them, it's more of an inverse reassurance that the bathroom has been cleaned, and other things such as, for example, ambient light and motion as well, right? So now you can take it on a sensor by sensor, but obviously as you scale this across your estate, it might be difficult to kind of look at the screen and you're like scrolling up and down. So we did create other things such as, for example, smart dashboards. Now you can create your own dashboards. You come inside here, you plot up to 6 of these tiles. You'll see that there are a variety of measurements coming across from either one sensor or a group of sensors. Think about what's the quality of this office coming from the 5 sensors I have. And this dashboard can obviously be viewed here, or it can be shared to any third party or paired with a nice simple TV, right? So you can have it running in the background and know exactly, hey, something's happening. I can have a visual confirmation, right? For me, sensors are one of these things that if you want to improve the quality of the air, how can you do so if you cannot quantify this? How can you do so if you do not have the actual raw data? As a technical man and a man of science, I can't see how I can do something if I do not have like a benchmark and a measurement to see if my actions have any effect as well. And if you're actually looking at actions having effect, a different way of viewing this data, but more spread in time, is looking at your alerts, right? So you set alerts for all these things, depending on obviously the sensor, where it's located, etc. And with this, you'll actually be able to see, being like, okay, noise alerts. We see that all of a sudden noise becomes a problem. I can address that before, again, things become ugly. The same thing, you might go for a vape reduction, and with this, you'll see less and less vapes, hopefully, as people realize, hey, you know what, maybe vaping in the bathroom is not a good idea overall. And I didn't mention this noise and motion and things. This is great because now we can tie in the fourth product with this, right? And the fourth product is the alarms. And I personally like alarms because it brings all the products together. Okay, we have wireless alarms, we have wired alarms, nothing much there that's different from what's on the market. But what's different is that we can now actually use all the other Verkada devices as triggers, right? So you have your site, you create your partitions in each site, you have a full understanding of the health of the devices across your entire partition. Think about battery level, devices being offline, etc. And also, you'll get a historical idea of actually what happened. And just to configure this is very, very easy, right? You go through your devices, you set your triggers, wired, wireless sensors, access control, people forcing doors open as well, cameras seeing people, right? You can have this functionality just by having Verkada cameras. And once somebody triggers on one of these sensors, we can optionally send it to our video verification partner. So we actually partner with a company that does the video verification, and they're just there to make sure that any sort of triggers are not false positives, right? And if they're actually a threat to people or property, they will raise an alarm. They will call you based on the contact list that you define here, obviously not fake-email@verkada.com. And also optionally dispatch emergency services, right? So this is again a service that we partner with an NSI Gold security center that for you is just a toggle on or off if you choose to do so. Obviously with alarms, you have all these other actions. You can have strobes, you can have different sounders, speakers, etc. You can even have a massive speaker as well. If deterrence is what you're looking after, we have a nice talk down speaker. I think somebody managed to rename it. Nope, it's here. So you actually have a speaker. It's very big. You'll see it in this image here. It's a bit dark, but hopefully you can still see it. And you can either, like again, initiate calls from the platform itself, or at any time. If you have the alarms license, you'll have the operator will actually have access to it, and they can say something to deter the intruder, or they can play a message as well. So you'll see there as my speech appears there, it's proof that one, this is working, and two, that their speech recognition is not working 100%. But obviously, that's not what we are for. So that's again like a nice speaker if you're looking at deterrence, especially out of hours as well. I did mention access control. Obviously, there might be areas within your property that you want to make sure that only certain people get in and out. For us, when we build access control, we build it with the sole purpose of being able to tie in cameras to them. So the reason I'm saying this is obviously access control tends to be a separate system than cameras. So if something happens, you need to take a timestamp and you need to go back in time and go to your camera system, and then 30 minutes down the line something happens, right? For us, it was just imperative to build a simple integration to the point in which you have a door and you tie in one or multiple cameras to it, right? And this means that anytime something happens, let's say you get people maybe getting denied or leaving the door open or tailgating, for example, you'll be able to get all these notifications here as well. So for example, you'll see that somebody's trying to unlock the door and they are not able to get in, right? The same camera UI is just, it is time coded to show you exactly those events as well, right? So at any point, if you figure out that somebody is abusing the system, or you're like, hey, you know what, somebody's stole Connor's card and is now making his way through the property, you can click on any user profile, You can see exactly where they have been. So now we're not looking at the door, we're actually looking at the user. And from the profile, you can easily click suspend access, right? I'm not gonna do that because Connor is just probably like he's actually working in this office here, so he's probably not gonna like it. But again, just showing you how easy it is to do so. So the master database in the cloud gets updated, and then all the controllers on site then get refreshed, right? So remember, the internet goes down, the controller still works, it will still log, and then when the internet goes back up again, it will update all that information as well. Again, if you don't want to suspend access and you want to be a bit more granular, mean like, hey, maybe Connor should be allowed at this time, etc., you can obviously control with access levels what doors and when can Connor access them. But obviously, if you can be more general with schedules, right? So it's Christmas Day, you don't expect anybody to be in the office at any point. You go from access controlled to something like just door closed. Nobody can get in, etc. Right? Access control does require you to actually have the components to lock a door and scan credentials. But the good part about this is that we're not actually reinventing the wheel. So if you already have existing access control, chances are that we are most likely able to take your access controller, put ours in, and then you again use the same interface to control everything. Users, access, reporting, roll calls in case of emergencies, etc. as well. And this kind of ties in with Intercom because I think I have one here in the back to show you. It's very nice. It's quite heavy, well built. We launched access control, what probably was like 3 years ago, right? And a lot of people keep saying, what about intercoms? What about intercoms? I mean, it's not really access control, but it is access control. So far, our whole response to that was like, well, you can use your third-party intercom and that's not a problem. But, it's a different system. People want the intercom to be part of their access control solution, right? So now we actually have a very nice intercom that you'll be able to put outdoors. And at any point, you'll be able to interact with it. So here's the intercom camera. Here are a couple of context cameras that kind of show me a bit more about what's happening in the vicinity. And the great part about this is that, as opposed to most intercoms out there, this is a full-blown Verkada camera. Everything I showed you on the camera, archives, face search, occupancy trends, etc. They all work on this. It's just the camera that you can interact with it just by pressing this camera button here. Has a wide view. So at any given point, if you have loads of stuff in the frame, you'll be able to see what's happening, go back in time, get a transcript of the conversation in case there is a conversation happening. And obviously at any given point, if you have any sort of faces being detected, you'll be able to click on the face and again, hey, we had an issue with the delivery driver. I want to know ASAP whereabouts in the building he was. I'm just clicking on the picture and then I know exactly the last times that he has been at the building. If you're wondering how you actually get calls, well, we try to be as flexible as possible. We really want to have an intercom that's a hybrid between a regular intercom and a Ring doorbell. And this is where you can define how you want the call to be routed. Desk Station is an app for iPads that a receptionist can have, so they don't need to log in, nothing. Or otherwise, you can actually use regular phone numbers. You can use an app for the phone, or obviously you can use the actual command itself. So you can have command loaded in a browser, and then when something happens, just press the button, right? You'll also see that we do have schedules. So at any point, if you obviously are out of hours, you can route the call directly to the phone and bypass the thing. So very, very nice, very easy to use. You put it on the wall, PoE plus powered. It resists the things as well. I'll slightly touch on this for the last 2 minutes and then opening to questions as well. But we do have a suite of more of building management products. I guess from our perspective, Guest is one of the most important ones because, through my experience, I know that a lot of people still use the famous pen and paper, ripping notebooks, etc. But how secure actually is that? What happens if that gets lost? Can people actually sign NDAs on it? Can you actually interact with the people, right? Pen and paper is great, but still, I'm hoping that we can give you a solution that's more suited for the day and age that we live in, right? So Guest comes in. It's a simple app, again, for iOS and Android that you can put in. So this is the desk station here. We tie in a couple of cameras for the lobby and also some doors. So there is interaction across products again. very nice interaction. You can actually let guests open doors. You can have the visual verification. And at any point, you can click on a guest and understand who's here, who's here to see, what documents have they signed, when they came in, when they came out, what happened, and again, their face search being cited, right? I'm not going to go through all the settings of this product, but obviously on the main points is that you'll be able to define different guest types that will require different ways of checking in. And we want to make sure that not only their experience is easy and seamless as possible, but also you as their host, you automatically again get notified via Slack, get notified via Teams, see their pictures, so you don't need to go around in the lobby asking, are you John, are you John, are you John, you know, loads of stuff. You know exactly what you're going for as well. Purely again, an app-only system that as long as you have a tablet, you'll be able to trial it even after this call as well. Now, mailroom, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because it's as easy as it sounds. If your packages do get lost, and sometimes we do have people who lose packages, you'll be able to, again, use a phone to scan the package, drop different notes such as where the package is, how the package looks like, and then the recipient of the package will automatically get notified, and then they can check their devices, their packets out before anything happens. So again, if packets go missing, and that's the thing, I think mailroom is your kind of go-to product. And with this, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to let Lauren pick up the questions.
Perfect. Thanks, Dave. All right, so I'll begin to share my screen here again. All righty, so let me go ahead and hit share. So we've got some time for Q&A, and one thing I also wanted to highlight, of course, is as Dimi mentioned, we do have a free trial program, so it's risk-free. We cover shipping and handling there and back, and our partner Net-Ctrl will go ahead and run through some of the questions that we've gotten in the Q&A.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. So yeah, we have had a few questions come in. So one's regarding CCTV footage. If you bring multiple cameras in, will the export show both cameras or export separate files?
At the moment, the export actually shows separate files, right? So you'll be able to again share one or share multiple of them. But yes, if you have multiple videos synchronized, there will be different files.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can archive them all at the same time, but it'll be separate archives right now.
Give you that flexibility, and again, each image is timestamped as well. It's very important that from a legal point of view, we do record 24 frames per second. We don't do any sort of motion-based recording and stuff like that. So again, at no point anybody can say that, hey, you're missing footage, the camera did not trigger. No such thing. We record all the time, 24 frames a second.
Yes.
Perfect. And we've had a few questions regarding pricing. So I think, is there an education price list available at the moment in the UK?
Yeah, so Verkada as a manufacturer, we work 100% through our Verkada authorized partners and resellers, Net-Ctrl being one of the amazing ones that we work with. So if you are interested in either a free trial or getting some pricing, maybe having a site survey or a further in-depth product demo, email mark.power@netcontrol.com. It's on the screen, so we can put together education specific pricing.
Perfect. One regarding the access control. So does the access control system support MyFair cards?
Yes, at the moment we do support MyFair cards, obviously with the encrypted ones. All we can see is the CSN. Again, getting very technical here, but either myself or one of my colleagues can jump in on that. We're actually in the process of building our own MyFair cards as well to offer. What I'd also like to say that with our access control, you also have the ability to use your own phone and Bluetooth unlock, which we find to be a different way of doing access control, and again something that's secure and encrypted end-to-end as well. So that's also an option.
Does that also regarding cards? So there has been another question. So is also that with the Paxton Next 2 cards?
As far as my understanding goes, that Paxton is a proprietary product and it will not work across other access control manufacturers. Again, just to reemphasize that we don't use any any specialized locks and devices, and that if you're if you're not happy to purchase the solution and you want to have a look at Verkada, it's just a rip and replace operation of the actual panel itself. But we have a supported cards list here on our website. We can add more, so a lot of these are actually come from customer requirements, but obviously as long as they're not encrypted or any sort of proprietary cards, we will be able to work with you to add them.
Fantastic, thank you. Well, where are the cameras manufactured?
That's a good question. They are actually designed in California and they are manufactured in Taiwan. So I know NDA is not a thing in the UK, but at least it's a proof that again all our devices are go through that.
Yeah, and I'll share as well that within every single Verkada camera, the chipset that we use is Ambarella, and so the chipsets are Ambarella, which are made in Santa Clara, California. So it's a US-based chipset manufacturer. And this is relevant for our US customers that ask for this a lot, but basically this is our NDAA compliant certificate, which basically states that nothing within the Verkada supply chain is manufactured in China. So that's something that we get a lot. Yes, good question. Any other?
Yeah, so we've actually got a few more still. So one regarding warranty. So what is the hardware warranty on these products for indoor and outdoor devices?
Yes, great question. So across all of our devices, indoor, outdoor, every product has our 10-year warranty. So across everything, no matter the device, including our iPads. If you procure iPads from Verkada, Apple warranties the iPad and Apple products for 1 year. Our 10-year warranty applies to that as well. So everything.
Only to be used with Verkada apps, right?
Yeah.
So when I say bulk, we're not accepting bulk orders for just iPads.
Fantastic. So where is the data stored? Is it within the EU?
So the data is actually, remember, like the data is actually stored on the cameras themselves, unless you do archives and backups. If you do archives, we actually use AWS, so that's S3 in Dublin. Again, this is a setting on a per camera basis because we do have multinational customers that have different data centers. And backups are in a company called Backblaze, which are very, very similar to AWS, out of their Dublin office. So again, from a data perspective, we are fully compliant with GDPR, and we also make you as well. We make it much easier for you to become GDPR compliant as well with our solution.
Yes, exactly. So you can select on a per camera basis which data storage location you would like, whether that be the US, EU, Canada, or Australia are the current options. Yeah, good question.
Fantastic. The next one. So what happens if you lose the internet connection?
Depending on the product, but the camera itself, again, because the storage and the processor is on it, it will continue recording. I did mention that if you actually have a security team, or if you have a couple of screens that show this footage, we can actually use what's called a viewing station, which is basically like an Apple TV that comes inscribed with our software that will continue streaming video. So even in outage, if you have a security team, they'll be able to get it. When it comes to access control, again, because the database is replicated locally across all your controllers, people still have access. You won't be able to provision users, which I'm sure that probably is not on top of the mind in case you don't have internet at a certain location. And when the internet goes back up again, all the logs of people getting in, out, not being allowed to get in is automatically sent to the cloud. So there is there's no lapse in any sort of things, any sort of reports.
Brilliant. Thank you, Demi. So there's a couple of questions I'm going to combine relating to kind of access control integration. So first and foremost, so does Verkada currently offer wireless locks? And then also as an add-on, do they currently offer handle-based access control systems, or do they integrate with firms like Salto?
So with the wireless locks piece, obviously I don't want to give any kind of timescales on this. We are working with ASA Abloy to get certified. Salto is something that's requested, so possibly down the line, although I don't have any intel. I know that if you're looking at something in the short term, we are doing some betas with local customers with ASA Abloy. In the US, we have a Schlag, like an Allegiant, which unfortunately is not available here. But yes, that's the thing. Salto possibly in the future, but again, nothing until we finish our ASA Abloy.
Yeah, ASA Abloy today, Salto we're investigating.
Yes.
Yes.
Brilliant. One regarding now the air quality sensor. So how many devices would you need per square feet for accurate vape detection?
It depends on the obviously the obstacles, because if you're looking at toilet stalls, if they go top to bottom, the airflow is restricted. So if I'm vaping in one stall, obviously you're not going to get in the vapes. If it's like kind of a clear environment, I believe it was like 150 square feet. Again, we have everything public on our website. We actually have a vape detection white paper that will actually allow you to do so. Remember, like with vape, with CO2, with air quality, there are different placements depending on what data is more relevant for you. But again, I know vape is an important thing. And yes, this is something, again, that myself and my engineering team is here to help you when you're doing these POCs to make sure that everything is set up properly and installed as it should.
Brilliant. So currently, are there any bundle offers across the portfolio? Is that, or if not, is that something that's being considered? So where you'd combine a number of maybe, the access control and CCTV together?
Yeah, no, I think, we operate based on economies of scale. So the, larger the overall project, there's certainly additional discounts associated with that. And of course, being within the education space, there's discount considerations based on that as well. So work with Verkada, work with, Net-Ctrl, your dedicated partner, to put together, exactly what you're looking for, the solution that you need based on the school or multi-academy trust that you're with. But very customizable. And as Demi said, very easy to scale. So you can start small and do a phased approach, or we've seen plenty of customers do rip and replaces all at once when it's just time to get rid of legacy equipment. So there's a variety of ways, and the benefit is that it's so flexible.
Fantastic. I think there's only one question here, I think, that hasn't been answered. So can I connect a single sign-on?
Yes. If it does SAML 2.0, it can be done. Yes. And also you can use, if you have Azure Active Directory or Okta, you can also, for access control especially, you can use a protocol called SCIM to synchronize all your users as well. So again, as people leave the business and obviously like join the business, they'll automatically be provisioned as well. So yes, and yes.
Perfect. I think that's everything.
Yeah, I'm just flicking through. I think that is every question. Yeah, so if you do have an immediate question, get it in quick.
If not, I suggest a trial,
Yeah.
Yeah, so following this session, so every attendee, you'll get an email from myself. So it'll come from josh.moore@netcontrol.com. So on there will just be a link to a landing page, an option to information about where you're going to collect the Yeti mug, if you're going to join us at BET on stand SF70, or if you'd like it sent out direct to yourself. On there as well is the option to opt in for one of the free trials.
Awesome.
So no more questions have come in. So
thank you for your time, I guess.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Hope to see you at BET.
Yeah.